All right, what I got here, slave Christ. Some more stuff on Genesis. I'm still studying in Genesis. And last video I made about the number 7. This will be related to number 3. And what I found still within the first chapter of Genesis. There's 3 days of making or preparing. That's first, second, and third day. And then there's 3 days of filling. Fourth, fifth, and sixth. And what I mean by that is the light in the first day, and then the division of heaven, the waters in heaven, and then creating, drawing out the earth. And then the next 3 days, he's filling it with animals, and then the sun, the moon, the stars, and then humans and plants. There's 3 days of creating heavenly things. That's the first, second, and fourth day. Then there's 3 days of creating earthly things, and that's the third, fifth, and sixth day. There's 3 actual creating from nothing in the Hebrew. If you look, the word is bara. It's only used 3 times. And the first time is in the first verse, making physical matter. Then the second time is in verse 21, making living creatures. And the third time is living soul within man, verse 27. And there's 3 times God uses the word created within verse 27, talking about man, like we're his most awesome creation of all, had the living soul, and he mentioned God created he them. So he's very proud of creating man, or his most prideful possession, I should say, in that time period. There's 3 times that you see God called within the first 3 days. And there's 3, this is within the Torah, but there's talking about God calling, God called, but there's 3 calls of God to men within the Torah. Just the Torah, the first 5 books of Moses. That was Abram, Jacob, and Moses, where he called to them, Abram, and Jacob, they got their call. There's 3 kinds of vegetation God makes in the 3rd day. And whenever the first word out of God's mouth was let there be light in English, but if you go into Hebrew, it's one word, and it's yod hey yod, meaning exist or to be. And those three letters are in the holy name of God, yod hey wah hey, and those are also the most used letters within the Torah. The yod was 31,522 times, the hey is 28,052 times, and the wah is 30,509 times. And they're the 3 most used Hebrew letters in the Torah. And you ready for the Big Bang? This is how I relate the Big Bang. This is related to Exodus, but the first words of God, as soon as he spoke, he said, let there be light. Light was. But in Genesis 19, a couple of scriptures, I love reading scriptures, verse 16, and it came to pass on the 3rd day in the morning that there was thunders and lightnings and a thick cloud upon the mountain, the voice of the trumpet exceeding loud, so that all the people that was in the camp trembled. And Moses brought forth the people out of the camp to meet with God, and they stood at neither part of the mountain. And Mount Sinai was altogether on a smoke, because the Lord descended on it in fire, and the smoke therefore ascended as the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mountain quaked greatly. And when the voice of the trumpet sounded long and waxed louder and louder, Moses spake, and God answered him by a voice. This is God's voice. And in the next chapter, verse 18, we see, and all the people saw the thunderings and the lightnings and the noise of the trumpet and mountain smoking. And when the people saw it, they removed and stood afar off. And they said unto Moses, speak thee with us, and we will hear, but let not God speak with us, lest we die. See, his voice, all the manifestations was related to God's voice, his power. And so when he spoke them first words, that's the light was the only thing. He said, let there be light. He didn't have to form it. So that's why I said, and you look in there at the light, even in the King James, he repeats the light was good. Everything else, he says that it was good. So God saw it was good. Light is the only thing that is repeated, so I'm saying there's something supernatural, there's something very significant about this light. So let me tell you. In the book of John, chapter 8, verse 12, I believe it is, Jesus said, I am the light of the world. So we bring that to the light. There was 3 days supernatural. There was supernatural light within the first 3 days of creation. Because on the fourth day, that's when the sun, the moon, and stars come into light. There's 3 letters within that word light in the Hebrew, and that's Aleph, Waw, Resh. And then we come right there to the first words that he spoke. Immediately in verse 4, it speaks of a division and darkness. So let me tell you about this man named Jesus, who was the light of the world. He died, and he went to a place of division and darkness for 3 days in the heart of the earth. Read it in the Gospels. And then when we get to Genesis 1:9, we see the words gathered together in one place and the word appear. Well, let me tell you, this man Jesus on the 3rd day, because this happened in the 3rd day of Genesis. This is parallel with Jesus, a symbolism of Jesus to come. Because let me tell you, the 11 apostles were gathered together in one place in that upper room, and Jesus appeared to them. So the key words, it all points to Jesus, and this is what I've seen, and this is what I'm bringing forth, that the entire Bible, everything where I'm studying and researching, points to Jesus, the entire Bible. Whether it's in the English or the Hebrew, it doesn't matter. Very significant things. And I was sharing that with y'all. Slave of Christ. Shalom.